So now comes the question, we have been talking about allowing the Devi to take over your sensory inputs, allowing the Devi to take over, as your mind, allowing the Devi to take over what you attach to, where your attachment is leading to. And we are also talking about allowing the divine anger to take over so that, you're channelized. How do you allow? So that is why you need to understand that as the Atma, you have unlimited energy, unlimited power to do anything that you choose to do, that you choose to use your power of free will for. So, having said that, what should you choose to do? What should your action be? So, for sensory inputs, right, it is best we choose that kind of sounds, that kind of visions, that kind of touch, that kind of smell, right? That kind of sensations that does not create bondage, that does not pull you down, that does not drain your energy. Which is why in Sanatana Dharma we have this concept of doing puja, rituals. So morning, the moment you wake up till you go to bed, the rishis have suggested rituals, right? Intentional actions where you put your senses to use, which doesn't drain away your energy but uplifts you. So one such conscious ritual is doing worshipping. So the Parabrahmam doesn't need you to worship. It's not going to do its job only by you worshipping. No, there is no conditions here. The Parabrahmam is not going to operate. It's not going to favor you because you do puja for the Parabrahmam, because you please a deity. No. Rituals, conscious rituals are designed so that at least certain part of the day you are able to give your senses inputs that are not draining you, that is contributing towards your growth as the Atma. Which is why, rituals like puja, conscious eating, where, eating itself is an act of offering. Sleeping is an act of yoga nidra. Talking is consciously, you're asked to speak only positive words, good words. So all these rituals are in place. So how does a puja engage your senses? So how do you allow the Devi to take over in the form of sensory inputs? At least one part of the day engage in the act of worshipping. So puja itself is where you engage your five senses. How? So there's a pancha Panchopachara puja, a basic puja that I kind of do with the command of my guru, Sri Pinayu Narayana Shastri. So I asked him why we do this. So he had given me a very beautiful written explanation. He was 94 at that time, and I was a teenager. So he told me why we do this Panchopachara puja. This is to engage our senses so that the sensory input is the Devi herself. And how? Very simple. We apply gandha, fragrance. We offer fragrance to the Devi, which is offering chandana, right? So that is where you are giving that input of smell, which again is the earth element, right? So we say lam prithivyatmikaye gandham dharayami. The Devi who is in the form of the earth element, I offer her the tanmatra of smell. I give her good fragrance, right? Then the next sense that you use is your vision, by seeing her, by giving her, you have her in your vision. You offer her flowers, right? Then you offer her dhupa, which is the element of air, right? You offer her dhupa. Dhupa is incense. Then you offer her fire by arati, right? So that is the fire element that you offer her, which is the sense of vision. So Let me tell you how this maps up. Smell is the earth element, vision is the fire element. So you offer her arati as the fire element. The dhupa that you give her, that you offer her, is the air element, right? The flowers that you offer her is the akasha element, right? So you give her offerings of Naivedya, eatables. So that is Amrita, which is, a form of the water element. So the five senses are connected to the five elements, and you engage your senses with divine smell, divine taste, divine sensations. When you offer flowers, it is, you're seeing divine things. You are smelling, the smell of the flower. It is soft to touch. It is so divine, just placing a garland for a photo of the devata that you like adds a touch of divinity to it. When you burn incense, that entire place smells very divine. When you offer fragrance to the Devi, the image itself looks auspicious. You're adding divinity to it. When you give offerings, naivedya, to eat, that it becomes divine. When you offer it to the divine, it becomes divine. And then when you eat it, it gives you that sense of divinity within the body as well. So this is how the rishis have shown us the way on how to engage our senses, which are a personification of the five elements, towards the divine. So this is how we allow the divine to take over through sensory inputs. And now we spoke about how to allow the Devi to take over your mind by contemplating on the divine energy. So that is why japa, meditation, all of that comes into the play. So the rishis have suggested that, at least in one part of the day, when you engage in constant chanting of the Devi's names, you're meditating on the Devi in whatever form you like. You're allowing your thoughts to get channelized in that direction, and thereby purifying, cleansing, breaking mental patterns, infusing the broken patterns, replacing the broken patterns with divine energy, and allowing your mind to evolve. So these are the practices, the rituals that any Sanatani would follow in the course of a day. By doing so, they are staying grounded to their energy, themselves, which is actually the divine energy within themselves, who we are as the Atma. So this is how we guide our sensory input, our mind, to be taken over by Devi Lalita. So this is what is the meaning of allowing her to take over, right? So when the sensory inputs are now being cleansed every day, your mind is being cleansed every day, what happens to your raga and krodha? Yeah? Your emotional outbursts become a channel for Devi to show her divine anger, to cleanse you, to take away the negativity within, to burn away your inner ignorance. And your attachment is now towards the divine. It is somewhere at least partially channeled towards the divine, and not only given to the that attachment is not channeled only towards the material world. So this is how you allow the Devi to take over.